Good evening. Hey, you look very different. I can't hear you.
I feel it.
You feel it? When did you do it? Friday?
Yeah, Friday morning.
Well, actually, we're finishing the perk tonight. I should have told people to bring a l'chaim. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've got a l'chaim, thanks.
You have a good Shabbos?
Yeah, Baruch Hashem, and you?
Baruch Hashem, yeah. Definitely more people out and about now.
Yeah, I think so. And there's less, more not hearing, I don't know, I'm saying not hearing the same, bad news the same. I mean, hearing, unfortunately, we're not. Oh. Where is she?
Yeah, hi.
Hi, how you doing?
Baruch Hashem.
I'm speaking on this Friday, start the day. So Nachdod asked me if this Zoom can be used for his share as well. I don't know, I said this.
Well, they can use it. Is it usually, is it looking, I don't mind them using it.
Yeah.
Because as long as it's in the morning.
Yeah. It's Friday morning, it's early morning. Good evening, everybody. Everybody looks different. What's happened to you all? I thought you were going to keep your beards, keep them nice and long. You know, the father of Rashi used to sweep the base of Medrash with his beard. I was waiting for you to get to that length. We're going to be doing a Gemara today that shaving is not necessarily the best thing to do. I'm actually none of the Yomi.
Trying to persuade everyone to keep their beards.
Yeah, why not? How are you, Harvey? You okay?
Yeah, fine, thank you.
I'm sure you're good. What about you? You had a trim, not a shave.
I had a trim.
Oh.
Even in a week, even in 2 weeks, very long.
You heard Tali, I sent out his Rosh Hashanah to a lot of people. The word Iyor is Rosh Hashanah. Ani Hashem Roifecho. People go, oh, Chizuk. You didn't send it to me? Tali, you sent it to me, no? Hello?
What was it again?
And Iyor.
Sorry, you went frozen.
Yeah.
Word Iyor, did you sent it to me? I sent a lot of people. It's very nice. Iyor stands for Ani Hashem Roifecho. Aleph Yud Reish. Ani Hashem Roifecho. Iyor is I am Hashem your healer. It's a nice scholar. There should be a time for refuah. Anybody got any good news to tell me? Harvey, do you see a lot more people walking along Berry Old Road these days? It's not as quiet as it used to be, right?
I think people are getting more confident as time goes on. And also, they've had enough. How long can you do this for?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't stare out the window all day. But,
right.
Just wait till the weather takes a turn for worse and then see what happens.
Yeah, let's see what happens. I heard that it's going to get much worse at the end of the week or something.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, I think. Oh. I hope you all got a l'chaim. I hope to finish the perk today. Anyway. Somebody asked about having a shave Thursday night. I ended up looking into it quite a lot. And if you shave Thursday night, my salachti would have been okay, perhaps, but better to wait till Friday. What did you do? I could see all of you shaved. You shaved on Thursday or Friday?
Friday.
It's to do with the covered Shabbos. It's nice to be shaved fresh, the covered Shabbos. The question is Thursday night included in the covered Shabbos? That's the shot. Okay. Now the next time you have to wait till Lag Boimer, am I right? Yeah, next time is Lag Boimer.
Yeah.
Those who keep the first half, and afterwards they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, it was perfect, bang in the middle.
Oh.
If you keep the second half, you should have less. Usually during a regular one. But usually you have Rosh Chodesh and Lag Boimer and then the end.
From Lag Boimer till Shavuos is how long? You're allowed about 2 days for 15 days. I think you should all keep your beards really long. Come on, let's see.
Definitely not.
Another time. Maybe
especially now, at this time as well, when everyone's on Zoom, you know, it's only the face you see, so they got to look smart.
Oh, that's right. Okay, we're up to Daf Nun Amud Aleph. By the first of the wide lines. There's many, many halachas. We'll see how many we can get into. Many different halachas. Today's daf is actually Nun Aleph. We're a tiny bit behind, but we'll see what we can get. The Gemara is discussing that if a person has something which is normally muktzah, but he sets it aside for a specific purpose, it's no longer muktzah. Common example, I remember I lived in Kiryat Sefer, was always building going on. Wherever you went, there was building going on. So there was a lot of bricks lying around. And people there, who financially struggling, would use bricks for all kinds of things. I remember one of my neighbors used to take bricks from outside, I don't know what you cover it with a bit of silver foil, and then use it to bang the schnitzels. You know, with schnitzels, you want to flatten them out. So I don't know what you use. But she used to use a brick from outside. So a brick is actually muktzah. It's muktzah machmas gufa. But anything which is designated is no longer muktzah. So the Gemara over here is talking about designating items. That's the Gemara we were doing, and that's the Gemara we're continuing to do. So the Gemara says like this. Omar Rav Yehuda. It's the first of the wide lines of Nun Amud Aleph, about 10 lines from the bottom. Machlis Adam Moli Kuposi Offer. Person is allowed to bring in a big box of offer, earth. You can do this whatever you want. There's many things you can use earth for. If somebody by mistake vomits or somebody spits, baby has an accident, so you can use earth to cover it. So even though offers muktzah, if you bring it in before Shabbos, in order that you should have it ready, that is mutzah. It's on condition you put it in the corner of the room. In those days, the floor was made out of earth. If you spread it across the floor, it wasn't called designated, because at the end of the day, nobody would notice it was just a pile of earth on the floor. You have to put the earth in a corner of the room, and then you can keep for it wherever you want. We had last week a machlokas regarding designating something for muktzah. If one is required to do a ma'isa, if one is required to do an action, or if it's enough just to think about it. So over here we see that they would bring in a box of offer, and it would be enough without doing a ma'isa. So it's a raya that we hold like Shum Gamliel. But in ma'isa, they say you need to do an action for it to be designated and no longer be muktzah. So he said to them, this is really fits in the Rabbanon as well. Only something that you can do a ma'isa. That means when you've got wood and it is possible to do something to make it user-friendly, then you have to do a ma'isa. If it's something which you can't use a ma'isa for, like offer, there's nothing you can do to it, then you don't have to. And that's how we paskin as well. Therefore, if a person has something which is muktzah, as we mentioned, a brick or earth or pebbles, or even, for example, seashells could be muktzah. They don't really have a use. Once a person decides, I'm going to use it, let's say a person collects seashells or pebbles off the seashore, just for the children to play with, it's no longer muktzah. Why? Because there's nothing you can do for it. But it's something which you could do a ma'isa to designate it, then you have to do a ma'isa. What's his name? Ketanoi. Let's say this question of what you have to do to prepare something is a machlikas tanoi. That is this. Lema ketanoi is better. Lema ketanoi, that something which you haven't done, which you can't do a ma'isa, do you have to? Is it not muktzah anymore? With everything allowed to wash kelim. We're discussing now various soaps and cleaning agents. I don't know the exact English translation for all of them, but there are various cleaning agents. Some of them, when they're used, would actually scrape away the metal. Like imagine steel wool versus a damp cloth. Steel wool, especially if you don't have particularly strong vessels, if you clean with them, they actually make the keli scraped, which is a problem of memachik. Memachik on Shabbos, whenever they used to have leather skins, after they would the shecht an animal would have leather skins, they would have to clean and scrape away all the hairs and dirt from the leather skins. So memachik is also on Shabbos. So the Bryce is like this. With everything chofines akenim, you're allowed to clean vessels with everything you may wish. Chutz miklei kesef begal tekoin. Gal tekoin was something which was found at the bottom of a barrel of wine, which was particularly sharp, and if you were to clean your silver becher with it, it would actually scrape and be memachik your silver becher. But soap and
They
earth.
call it tartar in the art scroll.
What's called?
Tartar.
Oh, tartar, thank you. I must admit that tartar doesn't explain to me much more than galtacoin, but I appreciate
It's like an acid that's left over from the making. This tartaric acid comes from there as well.
Right. We have machlikas in the brises as a person allowed to use earth to clean his cups. And there's a fight in Motzei Shabbos. Wife says to you, I've run out of fairy liquid. So you go out in the garden, pick up a scoopful of earth, and you bring it in. You say to her, you can use this instead. Motzei Shabbos, that's okay. But on Shabbos, it's a machlikas if you're allowed to use earth to clean your vessels. So my lab, what's the machlikas? The maas of abinul ma'isa. The question is whether it's muktzah. If it is not designated properly, it's muktzah. And over here, you haven't used it yet, so there's no ma'isa. So therefore, it's muktzah. It's the machlikas. If you're allowed to use nesa v'chol to clean your cups and plates, is a shaila of whether there's muktzah on chol, which hasn't done a ma'isa to it. Loy. The kulam loy bin ma'isa. Everybody agrees you don't need a ma'isa. Loy kasha. Hoab Yehuda doma shemiskaven osam. Hoab Shimon doma shemiskaven mutter. That means, but emes is not a problem. The problem is not because of muktzah, the problem is because of mamachik. Soap and earth, sometimes when you use it to clean your silverware, they scrape away and you're over mamachik. Only it's not called psikresha. It doesn't always happen. This is important halacha. When you're doing something which may happen, the very famous example, regarding which we want to discuss this very closely, is brushing your teeth on Shabbos. Brushing your teeth, besides for different isurim, often makes your gums bleed. But let's discuss making the gums bleed. It doesn't happen every time. It happens sometimes. And making gums bleed is an issa of shoichet. So if you do it and it is, you don't want it, nobody looks to make the gums bleed, so it's davar sheni miskaven. According to Rabbi Yehuda, that is forbidden. According to Rabbi Shimon, it's permitted. The exception being if it's a psikresha, if every single time it causes the lips to bleed and the gums to bleed, then it would be awesome. So the Gemara explains the machlokes whether you're allowed to use soap, this particular kind of soap, to clean your silverware, is a shaila because it's davar sheni miskaven. You don't intend to do mamachik, and it's not psikresha because it doesn't always do mamachik. So it's machlokes Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon if it's mutter also. Says the Gemara, "B'may kim tolo the shavi." How did you fit in the Bible? It says it's mutter Rabbi Shimon. You mustn't clean your hair with this particular kind of soap, with earth and soap. For example, if you want to wash your hair and you take a clod of earth and you use it to wash your hair, you're not allowed to. Why not? Because it will cause your hair to come out, and that is goizes. So therefore, we see that is forbidden. If it's Rab Shimon, it should be mutter. Because Rab Shimon holds davar sheni miskaven is mutter. That's now we learned in the Mishnah top of Nun base. And nozeh, just like a person is not allowed to have his hair cut on Shabbos, and nozeh is never allowed to have his hair cut. So nozeh chayfa if it's allowed to wash his hair, a fast face, and he's allowed to clean. What's the word for it? He's allowed to put his fingers through his hair to what?
Separate.
To separate. Avaloi Sevik not allowed to comb. And Noz is not allowed to comb his hair because by combing his hair, he will make the hair come out. So we see that Shimon holds that washing your hair with soap, even though sometimes it comes out, is considered mutter because of Shimon Miskaven. So for Shimon mutter. Elahava Rabbi Yehuda. In either case, it's Rabbi Yehuda that you're allowed to, that you're not allowed to, because it's davar sheni miskaven, davar sheni miskaven is also. But Shaitan no yalib do Rabbi Yehuda. Haitan alib do Rabbi Yehuda so go. Haitan alib do Rabbi Yehuda so go. The machlokes in the brises, if you're allowed to use earth to clean your silverware, is a machlokes in practicality, in technicalities. Does earth and nesa, do they have the effect of memachik on the cups? If they have the effects of memachik, it is also. If they don't, it is mutter. And that is the machloikas. There's a famous tshuva of the Chasm Sofer. Chasm Sofer had a very, very big rebbe called Nosson Adler. Nosson Adler had a very, very, very hard life. Tragic, tragic life. He lost his only daughter. Anyway, there's different stories about it. But one very great thing he had is his Talmud, his main Talmud, the Chasm Sofer, taught Torah for the whole of Klal Yisrael. So you can imagine this Chus and Shemayim. So once somebody wrote to the Chasm Sofer, is one allowed to scratch his hair like his beard? All of you have got rid of your beards. It's not negate you anymore. But if you would grow your beards, then you're allowed to scratch your beards on Shabbos, right? You're allowed to play with your beards. So he said, I know it's mutter, because once in my lifetime I saw Nosson Adler putting his hands in his beard, and I know that my Rebbe never did anything wrong. So the only question is now, why is it mutter? That's how he starts off his tshuva. It's interesting tshuva. Start off like that. I know it's mutter because I saw my Rebbe doing it. I just don't know why it's mutter. Now I'll explain to you why I think it's mutter. Okay. Says the Gemara. The Maya came to Rabbi Yehuda. You fit it in the brayso that says it's mutter like Rabbi Yehuda. And why is it mutter? Because the reason is because we say it doesn't scratch. It's not mamachik the silverware. It says Amos Sefer. The end of that brayso says upon of the other ragel of mutter. You're allowed to use this soap to wash your hands, your face, and your legs. On me'ava seah. At the end of the day, people have hair all over the bodies, and therefore, if you're going to use this soap, it's going to cause the hair to come out. So Mo gives three answers, which are essentially one. We're talking about somebody that has no hair on his hands and his legs. How is that possible? How is it if somebody washing his hands and feet on Shabbos has got no hair? Either he's a child, a woman, or a soris is somebody that doesn't develop as a male person, doesn't develop properly, so he's got no hair, so therefore it is mutter. So according to this, it comes out that Shimon says you are allowed to wash your hair with soap because it's davar she'en miskaven and it's not psikresha. According to Rabbi Yehuda, it is awesome. Now the Gemara discusses various elements that you can use to wash your hair on Shabbos, because these elements, these washing materials, do not cause hair to fall out. There's big shine. You have to be very careful if you do something to your hair, the hair shouldn't come out. So different things. The dust which is made by crushing bricks is permitted to be used for washing your hair. Why? Doesn't it cause hair to fall out? The leftover peels of sesame after you crush them, you're also allowed to. If you ever run out of soap, or if you ever run out of what you use, Voseline or Pantene, whatever it is. So here the Gemara is recommending other kinds of materials, either crushed bricks or use the leftover peels of sesame seeds. The grinding of peppers, that's also permitted because these things don't cause hair to fall out. Barda is mutter. My barda, what is barda? It's a third of a herb called oil. The tilsa asa, a third of a hadassim. The tilsa sigli, and the third of yasmin. Three kinds of herbs mixed together, which would cause the hair to be washed. If most of it is not made out of ahalo, it is okay because it will not cause the hair to come out. Shabbos is one allowed to crush olives on Shabbos. Rashi understands the problem is a tikkun mona. The reason is when you crush an olive, it tastes sweeter. So you are fixing the olive. Tosfos and all the Rishonim get upset with Rashi because then why in the world would this Gemara come in here of all places? And they explain that people used to crush olives and smear it over their hair. And the question is, would that make hair come out? That means then it fits in nicely with the previous Gemara, because then the question is, does it cause hair to come out? Rashi explains it's discussing whether it's a problem of tikkun mona. Are you allowed to crush olives on a weekday? Because he holds you're not allowed to do that because you're ruining the food, because when you squeeze an olive, some of the oil is lost. A person is allowed to do whatever he wants with bread. You're allowed to use bread as a platter. Let's say you want to put bread, and on it you want to put, let's say, the chaim cups, and then pass it around the table. You're allowed to. Only they said, so bread doesn't go bad. Meaning, if a bit of something falls on bread, then what happens is you will still eat the bread. It doesn't go bad because you can see it's got crust and everything else. These get bad, they become repulsive, so it's forbidden. When it's not going to become repulsive, there's no problem with hefsed oichim. If it's going to become repulsive, it is a problem with hefsed oichim. This is important to halacha. People know it so well. is, let's say if a person, for example, has got food and he wants to make with it a toy. Sometimes the children come home from playgroup with big pictures and it's made out of pasta or all kinds of food. One has to be aware that not always is it permitted. Hefsed oichlin, in a way that you're never going to eat the food afterwards, is forbidden. So therefore over here, by bread, it's okay because you're still going to eat the bread. But when you're going to ruin the food, let's say, for example, you take a loaf of bread and you use it as, I don't know what, to color with, and you paint on it, and now nobody's going to eat the bread, that's hefsed oichlin, it's forbidden. And Memo Ma'azutra,
you're allowed to like color salt with chalk or stuff. We're called ruining.
right, it depends. There's a shaila about using small amount of food. That's the heta for pasta. A small amount of food, but it's not a choshev, etc. It's not yet royal amachal, etc. You have to ask your rabbi. They were sitting. They bought for them a brada to wash themselves. They did. Moshe didn't wash himself. Don't you hold a brada's mutter? Except for this. Dema of the master, which was a mazutah. Mazutah won't wash his hair even in the weekday. Sovalo, you have to read the Misad Svirei. Sovalo kod Tanya megar odem gildei tzur gildei makov. A person's got dirt on his hand or scabs on his hand. He's allowed to scrape it off. Shabbos soy. B'shul tzar because of his pain. In B'shul yapos also, a person not allowed to beautify himself. Mazutra did not wash his hair with this brado, wherever it was, a third of 3 different kinds of herbs, because he felt it is trying to beautify yourself. And beautifying yourself is forbidden. There's a sefer called Tiferes Odom by the Chofetz Chaim, not such a famous sefer, in which, if I'm allowed to say, upset you all, hopefully not, you're not allowed, you shouldn't shave. He says you should keep a beard. And which Gemara does he quote? This Gemara. Quotes this Gemara, you shouldn't shave. Because he says, you see that when you do things to beautify yourself, it is no good. But let's just count a little bit. Then we'll go back to this. So Gemara says, the Inu Kimansavor, what did they do? They did wash themselves. Why did they hold it?
Who says having a beard isn't beautifying yourself as well?
You should wash your hands and face every single day. And they used to. So there's a very nice word from the Mishnah Halachos. I liked it. He said that everybody agrees that cleanliness is a good thing. Nikius is one of the highest levels a person can reach to. Nikius is very important. Beauty takashtet in the Medrash that a man should not make effort to beautify himself. As I state in Medrash, a person's besalsel beside to beautify himself is no good. The argument which Nizam Miroim was is that this particular soap, was it a matter of cleanliness or was it a matter of beauty? They held as a matter of cleanliness and they permitted it. He held as a matter of beauty and they forbade it. The Chofetz Chaim is only mentioning this Gemara, you must have known this as well, is only mentioning this Gemara to what's the word for it? He's speaking, you must remember nowadays it's not like that, but in those days people shaved mainly because they wanted to join the Haskalah movement and other movements. Chofetz Chaim felt it was no good. There's a very famous story, it's a very nice story. I saw it brought down in a couple of songs. Moshe Feinstein, somebody once brought out a sefer against shaving, and he asked for haskama. And then Moshe was quite easy with his haskamas, very easy with his haskamas actually. And he refused to give this person an haskama. So he said to him, why not? Why won't you give me an haskama? He says, because you've written it's forbidden to shave. And it's not forbidden. So he said to him, the Zohar Kodesh, he bought all kinds of food. He said to him, at the end of the day, halachically speaking, it's not forbidden. You can't write. If you take out all the places written, it's forbidden. And just write that it is a nice minhag to have a beard, then I will give you the haskama. And he refused, he never gave the haskama, which is interesting, is quite a harshness of him. Anyway, as I said, it's in Yonah Diyema, but the basically is machlokes whether to use barda on Shabbat or to use barda, because the question is it beauty or is it cleanliness? There's a very, very important halachas like this. And sometimes you have a bocher who has white hair growing, and it's very off-putting for shidduchim purposes, etc. And the question is, that the Gemara over here says, that you're allowed to take things off because of pain, but not for beauty. So there's this like very, very short thesis, which is brought down in many, 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 many poskim. If you look in this thesis, it is 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the 5th thesis of the page, which filled Saroi. If you look in the thesis, very short thesis. There's no other pain. That means just like you're allowed to take something off your hand if it's causing you pain. Let's say you've got a scab, it's causing you pain, you're allowed to take it off. So too, if it causes you embarrassment, the thesis. There's no greater pain than if it's causing you embarrassment. So sometimes, for example, boys need to have to dye the hair, or to have certain procedure where they have something, a wart taken off or something, and that was the shayla is a mutter or liyakris is also. So the thesis, no, it's permitted because the fact that it's embarrassing to go out in public, that is pain. Therefore, it is mutter. Says the Gemara. Let's just try and describe it briefly as a picture. It's not so hard to imagine. I think the pictures aren't that much clearer. How do you do atmana? Imagine you've got this very big box, right? A big box, and you have a pot. So you put the pot inside the box, and then you pour over it something to keep it warm, because the box, unless you've got egg box, like these big egg boxes, that's not going to keep your cholent warm. Let's say your fire goes off, the blech went off. So what do? So then you pour over it, let's say wool shearings, and you've got loads and loads and loads of wool shearings, and now your pot completely covered in wool shearings, and your pot's going to be nice and warm for your entire Shabbos, right? There's a couple of problems. Problem number one, if you cover the entire pot with wool shearings, and we said that wool shearings are actually muktzah, how are you ever going to get to your cholent pot? You're not going to be able to get there. You're going to have to move the wool shearings to get to the pot. That's awesome. So the correct way to do it is to make sure there's somewhere the handle is. I'm summarizing the future Gemara. Once you get this clear, the next Gemara is easier. That means what's the correct thing to do? You hold on to, you leave part of the lid or the handle free from wool shearings, and then you pick it up from the handle, and everything else falls away. Everything else falls away, then you have no problem. Why? Are you moving muktzah? The wool shearings are muktzah. The answer is it's tiltul alidei davacha. Tiltul alidei davacha is a mutzah letzorech davar mutzah. If you're moving muktzah through something else for the purpose of which is mutzah, is okay. So that is the correct way to do it. Now, let's say you take out your cholent. You have a big box, and you put the cholent pot inside, and you got a picture in your mind, and you cover it with wool shearings. And then you left a bit of space. And your son, Yeshiva Bacha, Friday night says to you, you know what? I want a big bowl of cholent. So you take it out Friday night. What's going to happen to all the wool shearings? Anybody who's got a bit of imagination? They'll all fall onto the bottom of the box. Now your son's finished eating the cholent. What are you going to do with the pot? You want to keep it warm from tomorrow. Now you're going to have a bit of a problem. You realize you have a problem? You're not going to be able to put it and then cover it with wool shearings because now it's Shabbos and wool shearings are muktzah. So this is what the Gemara is discussing. Now, the rest of the Gemara is quite straightforward. If it's not clear this, you should let me know. Okay. The Gemara is like this. That if you took out the pot and now the hole is gone, that means sometimes you take out a pot and the things which are insulating it stay in place, and you've got like a hole to put the pot back in, so that's fine. But if the hole fell in, everything fell into the pot, into the hole, it is also. That means the hole is within the box. There's going to be a hole for the. Let me just get a picture. I'm not sure how much easier it is with a picture. Oh, yeah, it actually is a bit easier with a picture. If you can see over here, the pot was taken out, right? But I don't know what these things on the sides are, let's say wool shearings, so it doesn't have to be dafka wool shearings. They did not fall in. So then, what's the din? You can put it back because you have no problem. The problem is only if they fall in, and then you're going to have a major problem, right? So here, it didn't have a problem because it didn't fall in. Can you see that the thing still stayed up? The Moses is like this. Tanan, we learned to that Mishnah. you can take the pot and put it back. Hey, Chidomi, what's the case? If the thing didn't fall in and everything, the hole is still there, the Chachamim is saying good. And if they're saying good, then what is the other man, the Omar, what's the Blotzer ben Azariah arguing about? Must be talking about where the hole fell in, and that's the machlikas, because in the case of the hole didn't fall in, what's the machlikas? Look, the machlikas is as follows. Are you allowed to take the pot out of the hole in a way where the hole is going to fall in, and you're going to then afterwards want to do atmona again, and when you do atmona again, you're going to move the muktzah. So therefore, the Chachamim say that you shouldn't do that. What you should do is make sure to take it out in a way that it shouldn't have a problem later. That means everybody agrees that if the hole fell in, you are not going to be allowed to put the pot back in, because you can't touch it, it's muktzah. If the hole did not fall in, you're okay. The machlokes says, can you take it out normally, or and let whatever happens later, let it happen? Or do we say no? Because if you take it out, it's going to fall in, and then you're not going to be able to withstand yourself, and you're going to then put it back in, and then you're going to move everything around to make a new hole, and you'll be over muktzah.
You showed a case where it didn't fall in.
Yes.
In your book. How's that possible?
Right. So we're talking about wool shearings, right? So let's say you stuff them down and you squeeze them together, and you pulled out the pot in a way. Yeah, you lifted the pot upwards, and you made sure, like, let's say they've got a bit of moisture inside, or a bit of what's the word for it, or dirt to stick them all together, and then it's okay. Said well, there are a few halachas. Hai slikusa. Slikusa was a kind of flour which people on Shabbos would take in a pot, in and out of a pot, to smell it and to look at it and enjoy it. The problem was that every time you put it in the earth is muktzah. So when you put it in and you take it out, every time you're moving earth, which is muktzah. So dotzo, shofar, vada dotzo, sharia. If you stick it in and out, and then in again, it is mutter. Imagine you've got a cup. Right, here's a cup. It's full of earth. Can you imagine it full of earth? And then you've got, let's say, a beautiful rose. So you stick it in and out, in and out. So then you want to look at it on Shabbos and smell it, and then you put it back in. It's not a problem of muktzah. Why is it not a problem of muktzah? Because since you've done it a few times, the offer will move to the side, and you're not moving the offer every time. Vilav ose, Omar Shmuel, similar halacha, hai sakina, knife.
Is it not planting?
Oh,
Not
very
planting?
good. You asked that, Kasha. Very good. The question is, what's the bigger problem is, what about planting? What about planting? So the Rishonim say there are two conditions. One is that the plant did not take root. It never had time to take root. And furthermore, that you never intended it to take root. That means you've got no kavanah for zvir, and it never actually became zvir. Then it is mutter. So we're talking about a kind of loose earth where it never took root, and you're not intending it to take root, therefore you've got no problem. The only problem is muktzah. Thank you for
Even returning to water on Shabbos, we say, is considered tircha, and therefore would be also.
Because there it's considered the tircha, you're doing it for the sake of the saving of the plant. Here they did it because it's a way they wanted to see the flower and enjoy it, and this is where they would put it down. So it wasn't a problem. So the world says a similar thing. A knife which is between the bricks, it is mutter. What happens is, where do you store your knives? So what you do is you stab it into the wall of your kitchen, and then you leave it there. When you want the knife, you pull it out. When you don't want the knife, you put it back in. It's a safe place to keep it. The problem is, sticking the knife back in is a problem of machik of the bricks. But if you've done it a couple of times, then it is okay. We love awesome. If you've got a thicket of reeds and you stick in your knife back and forth, it is also mutter. Why? Because once you stuck it in and out, we're not chayshish. It's all the same halacha. The halacha being, you're not allowed to move muktzah. If you stick something back and forth, you're not going to put on muktzah, because once you've done it once or twice, then nothing's going to move. If a person wants to hide the turnips, utznoinus and radishes, tachas hagefen, underneath a vine, that means you're not doing it for planting purposes, but just for storage purposes. You want to store your radishes underneath the vine. If some of the leaves of the radish or the turnip are revealed, so then you can pull it out with the leaves. Top of nun aleph or mud aleph. That's not kilaim because you're not properly planted it, because you've left some of it out. And not the problem of shmita or planting on shmita. And it's not a chayav maisa. Meaning that if you plant something and it starts growing, then you have to take maisa again. Even though you took maisa once, you have to take maisa again. Does anybody remember why that would be, that planting something makes you chayav maisa again? We once discussed it in Brochas. Why is planting make you chayav a new set of maisa? Anybody remember?
Marisign?
No. Because we're scared that what would people do to avoid giving to us some maisa? They'll just plant everything, and therefore we say that the chayav maisa. Okay. When you tell him Shabbos, you're allowed to take it on Shabbos, even if you never put it in and out. To Yufta, it's a kasha, and therefore we don't pass like this. Meaning, that if you stick a turnip or a knife into a wall, even if you do it just once, you're allowed to pull it out. Why? And this is what we said before, because it's tiltul muktzah. Let's imagine, again, you've got this cup, a bowl full of earth, and you stick your knife inside it or whatever it may be. When you pull it out, are you going to be moving the earth? The answer is yes, it's impossible not to. So why is it mutter? The answer is because it's still tilkala chayat letzerch davar mutter. You're not trying to get, let's say for example, you've got a bunch of crayons and on the top of your challah knife, right? One of your children messed your Shabbos cupboard, and on top of your challah knife there's some crayons. Crayons are muktzah. And you pull the challah knife. Is that mutter? Yes. Oh, by pulling the challah knife, you're definitely going to move all the crayons. The answer is you're doing tiltul acher, mutter, which is mutter. And that's important halacha. You're allowed to take muktzah, you're allowed to take something non-muktzah, even if in the process a muktzah item will be moved, if the purpose is for the non-muktzah item. If you move your challah knife, because you want the crayons to be moved to another place. Let's say you've got a challah knife. On top of it, you've got a bunch of crayons. And you're moving your challah knife, because let's say, for example, you've got a camera on your challah knife. And you're moving the challah knife, because you want to move the camera from one part of the shelf to the other part of the shelf. That is awesome. Because then you're moving the muktzah, which is awesome. If you're moving the mutter, that is mutter. Says the new Mishnah. The Mishnah told us, that was the first Mishnah in our parak, that you're allowed to do atmona, and the Mishnah gives us a long list of things. Now this was all on Friday. Says the Mishnah, if you didn't do atmona on Friday, because on Shabbos you're not allowed to do atmona, even with something which is eino mosif hevel. You're not allowed to do atmona on Shabbos. Kisol v'niskala, if you covered it and then it became open, mutar lechasoso, you're allowed to. If you did atmona, and then it became revealed, then you're allowed to do atmona again. And there's a very big machlokes to show him, when did it become revealed? Did it become revealed on Friday? And that's a very big chiddush. So because you did atmona on Friday, even if on Friday afternoon it became unrevealed, since you once did atmona, you're allowed to do atmona again on Shabbos. Or if we're talking about only when you did atmona, when it became revealed on Shabbos. The Malay Sakitin, you're allowed to fill up a jug of cold water, but you're allowed to do atmona on something cold. The whole issue is only on something hot, not on something cold. I just very briefly go through the basic halachos of atmona again. What?
What's the difference? Why cold are you allowed to insulate it?
Why not? Because what's the issa of atmona? The issa of atmona is because you might come to do bishul, you might come to cook. By something cold, we're not a choshesh. There's no reason to assume. There are two kinds of atmona. Atmona she'eino mosif hevel and atmona moisif hevel. Hadovo, something which adds heat, is forbidden already from Friday. And that's the first list of our Mishnah, the first Mishnah in our Perek, which describes all the different things which add heat and they're forbidden to do it on Friday. Then you have Atmana with something which is not Moisav Hevel, which you're allowed to do it on Friday, but not on Shabbos. Here we have a special heter, that if you did Atmana on Friday with something which is not Moisav Hevel, then you're allowed to put it back on if it came off on Shabbos, and some say even if it came off on Friday. Says the Gemara, you're allowed to do Atmana for something cold. Omar Yosef, Michael Mashmalom, what's he teaching us? Tanida, it's our full Mishnah. When Mala Adam Kittiv, and this is Tachas a Kesses, you're allowed to put underneath a pillow or blanket. So you see that you're allowed to do Atmana. What's he adding? And our Moira should never tell us something which a Mishnah already told us. When Abaya Tuva Kamashmalom, Dimamas this in Hava Min out of thought and immediately double Shindaka Hatmin. We're talking about something which you never do Atmana. For example, water. Nobody in Atmana. Nobody does Atmana on cold water, because cold water, there's no chashash that a person would do Atmana to heat up cold water. If it's something like a food, let's say you've got cold potatoes, and you're keeping them cool, and you're doing Atmana. So now cold potatoes, most people don't like it cold. Most people want it cooked. So you might have thought that if we're going to allow you to do Atmana on cold potatoes, you may come to do Atmana on hot potatoes, kamashmalon. So you're allowed to do so he says you're even allowed to do Atmana on something which is darkei lahatmin, not just in cold water, but even something which is derech is to do Atmana. Even that you're allowed to do Atmana if it's cold. You're not allowed to. He argues with our Mishnah. That Rebbe permitted it. So how could you say Rav Huna that Rebbe said it's also? The Rebbe really hold its mutter. Before he heard it, before coming to Shomei, that means originally he held it was also, and then Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi told him it is mutter, and he changed his mind. And his Rebbe originally held it was also, then he held it's mutter. So when he wrote our Mishnah, he wrote it later. After he heard that it's mutter, then he wrote our Mishnah. He heard Yosef Rebbe B'Oma. Also, that is Satzayna. Rebbe Paskin is forbidden. My father Rabbi Yossi permitted it. How can you say it's also? And I changed my mind. His Rebbe held it was forbidden. Rabbi Shmuel told him that my father Rabbi Yossi held it is mutter. So Rebbe retracted and said, if that's the case, it's mutter. See how much love they had between each other. When Rabbi Yossi was alive, he treated himself like a Talmud in front of Rebbe. So Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Yossi, he took over from his father the Kof of Yosef Ifnei Rebbe. That means even though Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Yossi, both of them, treated Rebbe as their Rebbe, nevertheless, when Rebbe was told that Rabbi Yossi Pascha, that it is mutter, Rebbe retracted. So we see that even though he held originally it's also, once he heard from his Rebbe said it's also mutter, he retracted. I saw brought down as follows, an interesting point. Rabbi Yossi was the Rebbe of Rebbe. He was his Rebbe. And what happened was Rebbe, later on in life, became greater than his own Rebbe. Rabbi Yehuda Steinberg became greater than his Rebbe. First, we would say the reason is because he spent a lot of effort being Marbitz Torah. He was able to become greater, whatever the reason may be. And what happened was, the Rabbi Yossi then, once his Talmud became greater, what did he do? He became subservient to his Talmud. Right? Imagine you've got a Talmud and then he becomes great, he became subservient to his Talmud. Nevertheless, when the Rebbe heard that Rabbi Yossi originally held its mutter, he retracted. And therefore we see over here that actually, I don't know why I should say what that is. It's actually Tosfos. If you've got, it's the Tosfos Diva Maschal Ilu. It's the second half of Tosfos. It is nice to see sometimes inside Tosfos. Rabbeinu Tam Mefash Shevada Mitchila Yerebi Tamidush Rabbi Yossi. Avalachach Nischachim Rebbe Kedamin on the Hassam. Chamasam Rebbe is besuk to Shchichem and Gabei Mechad and Shmaid say. That means Rebbe became greater. Once he became greater, even when he became greater, he still listened to his Rebbe. The Gemara says like this: Nachman said to Doru, his servant, atmenitzoinen, do atmona for something which is cold. The Aisli man bring me water, the achim kfelo amor, which a non-Jewish cook has heated it up. There is a issa called bishul akum, but hot water one is allowed to have from a goy. Why is one allowed to have hot water which a goy cooked? Oh, it's bishul akum.
Because you can have it raw or cold.
Because you can have it raw. Anything which you can eat raw, you're allowed to have it cooked. So therefore, he said, "Give me hot water which has been cooked." Shoma of Ami, when Mami heard about this, he got upset. Why was he upset? He's doing like his rabbis. You're allowed to do that one at the cold. Anything that can be eaten raw can be eaten cooked. An important person has to be extra machne in halacha. And this is very hard to know when and which geder it has. But sometimes even something which is permitted, other people watching may learn wrong, and therefore a greater person should be more makbid. You're not allowed to do atmon on Shabbos, even in something which is not moisef heaven. You're not allowed to wrap it in the blanket. If you want to add, you can. I mean, let's say on Friday afternoon you wrapped your cholent pot in one blanket, and came Shabbos and you think to yourself, wow, that's not really good enough. It's not really retaining the heat. I want to add a second blanket or another thing altogether. It is permitted. That's important. Even though you're not allowed to hatmona on Shabbos, you're allowed to add hatmona on Shabbos. The sheets, and you can put glufkerin, which are like duvets, which are much thicker, thick blankets, not sheets. That is, you take off the thin layer and put on a thick layer. Or you take off the thick layer. Sometimes you don't want it to be so hot. You want it to be cooler. So you're allowed to take off the hotter one and put on the cooler one, and the cooler one which is not one. The Rishonim point out that Rishon Gamliel is actually saying an extra chiddush. The Tanakama only said you're allowed to add hatmona. Rishon Gamliel says you're allowed to swap hatmona. That means you're allowed to swap from one thing to another thing, which is even a bigger chiddush. The chiddush you're also allowed to hatmona in another pot. That means even though you're not allowed to do hatmona, if you transfer it from one pot to another, you're allowed to. Let's say you have cholent in your pot, and you want to do hatmona, you can transfer the contents from one pot to another, and do hatmona on the second pot. Does anybody want to suggest why that should be mutter? Oh, we said hatmona on Shabbos is also. Why are you allowed to hatmona?
You're not completely covering the pot. It's only covering the bottom of the pot.
No. You take a cholent pot, empty it into another, empty all the contents into another pot, and then you do a complete hatmona on the second pot. Why are you allowed to? If you're not allowed to on the first pot, why are you allowed to do it on the second one? Oh, so very good, Kelly. So what?
You're cooling it down already.
Oh,
So
Chazal was scared that when you do hatmona, you'll say, wow, look, I want to get it hotter and hotter. You might do even more hatmona. Here, by the very fact that you've shown that you don't care, that you've transferred it to another keli, so you've cooled it down, we're not cheshesh for hatmona. And the Gemara explains, if you're cooling it down, are you going to heat it up? We're not cheshesh for that. Now the Gemara discusses what you're going to do if you do hatmona with muktzah. Toma, the kiss of Dova Nittel Shabbos, you covered it with something which is allowed, which is not muktzah. Or Toma Dova Shin Nittel Shabbos, kiss of Dova Nittel Shabbos. If you did hatmona with something which is muktzah, but the top layer, the covering, is not muktzah, has a neitel machzeh, you take and put it back. But Toma the kiss of Dova Shein Nittel Shabbos, if you do hatmona with something which is forbidden, or you should Toma Dova Nittel Shabbos, do hatmona with something which is allowed. But the top layer is a muktzah. So, if part of it is revealed, then you're allowed to take and put it back. If let's say the top part of it is muktzah, top of nun aleph amud beis, you can't put it back. If the top of your pot is covered with muktzah, you're not going to be able to take off your thing, and you're going to end up not being able to touch the food all Shabbos. So if you cover a cholent pot with muktzah, that's the end of your cholent. You will not be able to enjoy it at all on Shabbos. Thin flax shavings, or the dust that comes off. It's like fertilizer, which is moisif hevel, and therefore it adds heat and is forbidden even on Friday. You're allowed to put one pot on top of another pot, or the mecham is a pot made out of copper. Kedera is a pot made out of earthenware. Which one would you say is hotter? Interesting. What would you say is hotter? Kedera, which is made out of copper, or mecham? Sorry, kedera, which is made out of earthenware. Sorry, or mecham, which is made out of copper. What would you say is hotter?
Copper.
I'll set copper. The Rishonim say that earthenware pots used to get hotter than the metal pots. I find it very interesting. That's what they say. But you're allowed to put one pot.
The metal one will heat up quicker.
Which one?
The metal will heat up quicker, but it doesn't get hotter.
Doesn't get hotter? No. Say that to that. Oh. Yeah.
Earth has a much higher melting point and boiling point.
It's interesting. I mean, the point is, we're saying that you're allowed to put one pot on top of the other because that's just retaining heat. And Rashi changes the gears over here. Not avaloy that it's forbidden, but rather you're allowed to put one pot on another. Here's even got a little picture of it where you've got a mecham of copper and a kedera of cheres, and you're allowed to put one on top of the other. This is all thanks to Yehuda Steinberg who brought me around this Pirush Chai. Actually, we're going to have more pictures. Get the exact English translation because I don't know what the English translation for an earthenware pot is. Okay. Oh, the toches pir bebotzek, you're allowed to cover the surface of the pot with dough. Not that it should get hotter, only that it should retain heat. Just like you're not allowed to add to something hot, not allowed to add to something cold. He allows you to add for something cold, and that's how we pass him. And the Brisa finishes off. You're not allowed to crush. Not snow and not ice. The Shabbos in order that the water should flow. You're allowed to put it inside the cup or inside a bowl. We're not choishesh. This 3 lines of Gemara actually has quite a lot of halacha surrounding it. You're not allowed to crush ice on Shabbos. You're allowed to add ice to a drink on Shabbos and then let it cool down your drink. A couple of halachas about this, very briefly. One halacha we should be aware of is that you're not allowed to you're not allowed to squeeze ice. You're not allowed to crush ice on Shabbos. Why not? Why not allowed to crush ice? So Rashi, if you look at Rashi said,
what do you mean by squeeze, crush ice?
To take a cup and bang ice and to get out the water from it. Rashi says because of a noilet. The Rambam, Rashba, and all the others say it's a gezerah that if we allow you to crush ice, you'll come to squeeze grapes, and which is also because of dosh. Rashi says it's a noilad, meaning it's a issa of muktzah. Noilad is issa of muktzah. You're creating something new, which never existed. That means you had ice, and you break the ice to produce water. You're creating something new, which is issa of muktzah. Most of the Rishonim say the issa is because if you crush ice, you'll come to squeeze grapes, and squeezing grapes is awesome in HaTorah. What's the nafkamina? The nafkamina is like this. Noilad is also in all cases. Squeezing is allowed if you do it directly into a food. For example, you're allowed to squeeze a lemon straight into your tea. So if that's the case, it would be permitted to squeeze ice straight into your drink. Now the Gemara does say that you're allowed to leave it inside a cup, that it should happen on its own. The Gemara does not talk about squeezing it into the cup. So that's a shaila. Are you allowed to squeeze ice into a cup? It's a machlekes rishonim. Mechava brings this down. There's also a shaila regarding urinating directly onto snow, where it's a problem of what's the word for it? It could be a problem if a person does it. The rishonim are quite makel about it, but if you can avoid it, one should avoid urinating directly onto ice or snow, because you're actually, what's the word, producing that the snow will melt. There's an interesting Shabbos in the Poskim regarding making soda water on Shabbos. There's already previous Poskim, they used to, the olden days, I don't know how they did it, they used to add a certain kind of flour into water, and it would make it bubble, and people would drink
Bicarbonate of soda.
And it was forbidden. It was properly forbidden. Why is it forbidden? Does anyone want to suggest why?
Nolad.
Oh, nolad, very good, it's nolad. Just like squeezing ice, they bring this down, they bring this more down to say you're not allowed to make soda. Says the Shulchan Aruch that nowadays, how do you make soda? I don't know how to make soda, so you have to
inject carbon dioxide into water.
That's what he says. So he says injecting carbon dioxide into water is not nolad. Why is it not nolad? Because you're not actually producing anything. You're just transferring the carbon dioxide from one item to another, and therefore it's permitted. I don't know if you do it, but if you do, it's a nice shaila about creating. So if you're allowed to, in the case, if you've got a cup, you drop ices in, that's definitely permitted. To crush ices on their own is awesome. Crush ices directly into a drink is machlokes rishonim. There's another very big machlokes rishonim. What happens if you left a lot of ice by themselves in a bowl and you left it for a long time, and then what happened was after 20 minutes you come away and it's all turned into water? If the water is muktzah, there are those who are hold that the water is muktzah and it's forbidden. If you were to put the ice directly in the beginning into your drink, it is mutter because it comes into the drinks, therefore it's not a new thing. But when you've got ice by itself, which melts on its own, there are those who hold that it is nolad. There's a lot of shayas. This is not so common. The person has to be aware that you can have shayas creating nolad, creating soda water, creating new things. But nowadays, most people don't do that. You drop your ices into the drink, and therefore it is permitted. We should do it many more times and to understand it deeper. And the truth is, we're going to have many prokim every few days, another lechaim, so it's quite good. It's very nice. Mazel tov to all. I have to tell you, it's not an easy peg we're turning. It's again, unfortunately, the next peg is about animals, what they're allowed to wear on Shabbos, which is even less of a lechaim. Everybody got lechaim, because everybody get themselves a lechaim, lechaim. It's a very big simcha. You can't imagine the simcha that Hashem gets when a person during these very, very difficult times manages to push themselves to go to a shiur. It's a very, very, it's can't imagine how much kiddushim shemaim is. Lechaim. You should always zeichet to simchas, brochas, nachas. I'd say over again what Tolly said at the beginning, what Tommy. Ani Hashem Io is Rosh Tevis, Ani Hashem Roifecha. Aleph W Dreish. I Hashem is your doctor. There's no doctor better than Hashem. That's the main message of Io.
Amen.
You should all have a thought. It's a very nice thing. I saw somebody pointing out that Sfira So'ima is counted in all the things. There's 613 mitzvahs, which is the middle mitzvah, the 307th mitzvah, which you have 306 on each side, is Sfira So'ima. Because counting and preparing yourself for Torah is the foundation. Whenever you build a foundation, you always build it in the middle. You don't build a foundation on the side. You don't put the pillar in the side of the room, because if you did, the other room will fall down. Sfira So'ima is in the middle of the room to keep everything, to keep the whole building of Torah good. So Sfira So'ima is the 307th mitzvah to keep the whole foundation going. We should prepare ourselves for Kabbalah Torah, and doing a siyum on a perk and Shabbos is certainly a very good way to go about it. Mazel tov.
Is a question asked, then a question or so?
Well, you asked two questions. You asked one question was about planting, so that's very good. We shouldn't discuss that. The other question I didn't understand.
Why does it come on end off Tiyufta?
Because
the reason it's a problem by the flowers, because it's you returning, so therefore you're disturbing the earth more.
Okay, but if you see that you're allowed to take something out without any, even though you're going to move the earth, so you see that we don't care you moving the earth. So what's the problem of putting it back in or taking it out? We see from this brisa that if you've got something in earth and you're putting it out with its leaves, it's okay. So this should also be okay.
And it says very clearly by the radish that it's halfway out. It's just the roots in or something.
Right, no, because if it's completely covered, that's a good point. If the radish is completely hidden in earth, so how are you going to get to the radish? You'd have to move the earth and get to the radish, and that's forbidden. Like we said, if you've got a shalom pot completely covered in muktzah, you're not going to be able to get to the pot. I'm stopping here, by the way. We'll start the next perek of Mitzvah Hashem tomorrow. It's nice to start a new perek, and it's also the end of the thing. Very good. We're a tiny bit behind. But Levi, Levi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
When it's completely covered in earth, so then it's muktzah, so you can't get to it. But when it's got a little bit out, you can pull it out. That's the halacha. If you've got a challah knife completely covered in crayons, you won't be able to take the challah knife. But if it's a little bit not covered, so you pull it out, and then the rest moves. And therefore you see clearly, not like the Amoira, I can't remember who it was, who said that you're only allowed to do it if you've done it a few times before Shabbos. But if it's the first time on Shabbos, it's forbidden. You see, not like that. Yeah, is it clear?
I'm trying to learn again, yeah. Okay, sure.
Did you have that we hadn't done the daf yet, or?
No, I didn't have. Basically, I thought I'd chaz the peruk, and I just basically learned from end to end.
What's today's daf?
Today's daf is actually Nun Aleph, so we never finished today's daf. We did more than half. We never finished it. All daf is Nun Base. We didn't do the Friday Shiur. Okay. Daf, some of them are longer.
Zechus of Shai ben Moshe is the outside tonight.
Oh yes, the Zechus of Shai ben Moshe. How is it? What's his name? Shia?
Shai ben Moshe.
Shai ben Moshe.
That's for you, Moshe. Moshe, you got a story for us.
Oh, that's
Moshe's always got a story for Shai ben Moshe.
I don't think we have enough time.
Oh, come on, a short story.
Okay, jewelry service. That's my last story I had. I got out of jewelry service.
I also got out of jewelry service. I got out of jewelry service.
Go on.
I was supposed to have jewelry service on the 22nd of March.
Oh, coronavirus.
I did.
I've got to run to another shirt.
They delayed it to the 23rd, and the 23rd was locked down. They said, right, you're excused.
Yeah, but my story is better.
What did you do? You sent them an email with it.
First I tried to tell them that I can't do it because I've got a business to run. They're like not interested. Then I said, you know what? I'll appeal it and send it. And I sent a picture of Rib Shiner. And they came back to me like within a day and said, you excused.
What did you write in the appeal?
The same thing as I wrote the first time around, but I just included a picture of Rib Shiner.
Wow, that's interesting. Somebody showed me. Got parking.
I'll show you on the computer now.
Somebody showed me on his. He had a parking ticket, and he said to them that he didn't see the sign with a attachment, a picture of Rishaya, and they let him off. Now parking tickets, I don't know. I've never been let off for parking tickets, so that's quite amazing.
Yehuda, I'll show you. I'll call you and I'll show you the email in a second.
Okay. Very nice.
Right. Do you want to end the meeting?
Yeah, Knesset. Okay, very good. Have a very good night. Everybody got any more questions? Okay, good night. What do you think? Right, okay, I'll see you.